So I don't know if you can see it behind me, but I've just finished watching the Cloverfield Paradox. I wanted to do an off-the-cuff, immediate review when it's all still fresh in my mind. This movie was good. It was good. I don't know. All I've seen about this movie from major networks and major news articles is that this film, I think one was from the Times that said this film should have been kicked into space. Okay, right. It's not that bad. I was slightly worried it would be another The Open House experience where the ending doesn't make any sense. So I want to go back quickly. I have seen the original Cloverfield. I remember seeing the trailer for that film when I went to see I Am Legend back in like 2008. I went to see I Am Legend and they showed this trailer for this unknown film. And I didn't even think it had a name back then. Cloverfield was a giant monster destroying New York, and people exploded, and there was like these little crab monster things. It was a long time ago. It was an okay movie. And then, of course, after that came 10 Cloverfield Lane, which I saw. I enjoyed. I thought that was a great movie. It was very tense. I liked that there wasn't a lot of, not action, because there was action in it, but I loved the story and the build-up towards her not knowing what was going on. And especially that ending where basically aliens have taken over the world. Does that tie in to this movie? Maybe? It's very weird. So, the Cloverfield Paradox is about a group of astronauts who are running a space station that can hopefully save the Earth from the end of the Earth, basically. We're running out of natural resources and we need infinite power. So basically, they've sent up these astronauts into space and they're like, right, you turn this thing on and it whirs up and then it doesn't work. Does this a few times. They're up there for, I think, about 500 days, which is crazy. So you've got, okay, let's list off the characters, okay? You've got the captain of the USS Kelvin from the 2009 Star Trek reboot called Monk. Got this kind of army soldier guy, Key, who's kind of cool. You've got this Russian guy who's kind of cool, but he's not very used very much, to be completely honest. And you've also got Roy from the IT crowd. Literally, Roy plays Roy. Everything he says is either a joke or a sarcastic quip. He is Roy in this. So if you're expecting anything else from Chris O'Dowd, maybe you are. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you like Chris O'Dowd as Roy from the IT crowd. I personally do, so I loved him in this. I thought he was great. And then you also have Schmidt, who is their German person, because they have all different nationalities on board the space station, which is called the Shepherd. I just remembered it's called the Shepherd, but that's the energy impulse thing, and the actual space station is in theory called the Cloverfield. They get that mixed up a couple of times. I wasn't sure if the whole thing was called the Cloverfield or if just the energy pulse thing was, or was the Shepherd the energy pulse thing? I think that's how it was. And then you've got our main character who is a English woman who is up there, who basically left her husband behind on Earth, and you see it from his perspective. And what happens is something goes wrong and the Cloverfield just vanishes into a parallel universe. The parallel universe is basically identical to ours, apart from the fact that I think they're slightly further on in terms of dire earth-ending horribleness. And yeah, they end up finding a woman on board, because basically what you find out is that if two parallel universes combine, all hell breaks loose. Because, of course, the universe is trying to fix the issues that have been caused by two paradoxes. So if, let's say, a certain character didn't exist in the other universe, they die. Or if a character didn't have an arm in one universe, then their arm would go. That was a stupid scene. There's a scene where Chris O'Dowd's arm comes off in a wall, and then it starts crawling towards them. And then they have to give it a pen and it writes some stuff. There is some silly stuff in this movie. I will say that this film, they try and play it like a mature, scary horror sci-fi at times. And then there's stupid stuff like that. There's a couple of times where I was like, really? Okay. Like, Chris O'Dowd really does not take anything seriously in this movie. He is very just kind of like, There's a scene where the Russian guy explodes because during the transfer between both universes, like all the worms from the ship literally he was mashed together with the worms, so the worms were all inside him, even though he could hear their thoughts and was responding to them, and his eye was going all weird. That didn't make any sense either. They never explained that. He explodes and all the worms come flying out, and Chris O'Dowd's like, well, that's where all the worms are! Your colleague and / friend has just died and you're making jokes. I understand making jokes in awkward situations. I personally do that myself a lot, and I can see that, but not when someone's just died. There's a scene where Moses, the doctor, let's call him Captain Kelvin, he is the doctor, and for some reason, in that scene, or later scene, he can't cut someone open. But you're the doctor, you know how to do that. It felt like there was something wrong with him, but no, that never went anywhere. There's a couple of scenes like that really just annoy me. Also near the end, the army guy kind of sacrifices himself. Locke or Lek or something like that. No, Key. His name's Key. Locke or Key. Both the same thing. So he sacrifices himself for no reason. There is no reason why. It's just he floats off into space and he's like, bye! If only they had done that, I would have laughed even more. That probably would have ruined the credibility of the movie at that point. But no, that was a bit silly. Like, he was like, I'll stay behind and turn the thing myself. And then the main character looks at him and goes, we could do that remotely. He's like, no, I must do this. I must save the Earth. What? So apart from some stupid decisions, this film has some clever ideas. I will say that the scene where the ship breaks apart, where Chris O'Dowd just terribly dies, somehow everything becomes magnetized and all the stuff starts flying across the room. And I was like, okay, right, cool. That is a good effect, very good effect. But then he's putting down nanobites in like little nano things in like this gel which sealed stuff. So he's put that down, and of course they're attracted by the magnet. And they come out in these long tentacles, and of course he's walking towards all these floating things in the sky, not looking behind him where all these tentacles are coming towards him. You're like, yeah, but it's just metal. What's it going to do? Poke him on the back? Nope! They literally wrap their arms around him and chuck him backwards. Why? Why? Why is that a thing? That causes the explosion, which leads them to having to cut a part of the ship off. And there's another character in this who is brought into it about a quarter of the way in. You hear screaming inside the ship. Well, it sounds kind of like a monster. They deliberately make it sound like a monster until, we can hear her properly, and then it's obviously blatantly a woman screaming, who was obviously on the other version of the ship in the parallel universe, and kind of they melded together, so she's got wires and stuff in her, which is a cool idea. I like that idea. That's pretty cool. She's basically the new Doctor Who. I swear, she looks just like the new woman who's playing Doctor Who, right? Is that only me who was sat there being like, come on, get out your sonic screwdriver. You got to do it. Where's the TARDIS? Is this a secret Doctor Who episode? She's an Australian actress. I know it isn't the same person, but they do look alike. So if you did think that as well, then it wasn't just me. But yeah, she's used okay. We find out that her and the main character were friends in her reality, and there's a whole, the main character's family basically burned alive, so her 2 kids are dead in our reality, but in the alternate reality, they're alive. So, of course, there's a tension between, should I go down to the planet and see them? It's like, no, you shouldn't, because they're not your kids, in theory. And yeah, that's kind of the main driving force. That's all this new character is really used for, is to be like, yeah, your kids are still down on this earth. And she's like, oh my god! The ending, you're thinking, right, okay, so Chris O'Dowd's died, okay? You've got the Russian guys died. The army officer guys died. Key. Lock. Key. Key's died. Swearing at the camera. Key's died. And yeah, so that's all of them. Is it? No. Tam, I forgot to mention Tam. She's not really used much. Okay, so she's Chinese. She is like the engineer. All of her stuff is translated on the screen. But one thing that really pissed me off is that no one talking to her ever translates for her. She will talk to them and they all understand Chinese, okay? Most of them, I think pretty much all of them understand Chinese. So they talk to her in Chinese sometimes. But when all shit's going down, they're just screaming in English and she must be just like, what? It's just like, I don't understand that. So yeah, her character's a little bit underutilized. There's, I think, a romance going on between her and Schmidt. Possibly? They have a weird argument during the start of the film and then they kind of smile at each other, but I just found that quite creepy, to be completely honest. How he smiled at her was just kind of like, I'm going to kill you later. And so that's a thing as well. She dies, so she's dead, so that's 4 people, okay? So the ending of the movie is they have to get home. So they're like, right. So the new woman from the alternate universe and our main character get onto an escape pod because they're going to go down to the planet and Schmidt and Moses are going to go back to Earth and hopefully save the Earth. Because they can transport between parallel universes. Apparently there are only 2. So they can transport between those 2, apparently. So, twist! Bum bum bum! The woman, the new woman, I don't actually remember her name, the blonde Doctor Who, the Doctor ends up being like, oh, I'm actually a bad guy. She knocks out our main character, who I also can't remember the name of. She also knocks out the main character in the ship, has a gun, okay, but this gun is 3D printed. That was printed earlier in the movie. I didn't mention that bit. That's 3D printed, okay. She goes and shoots Moses, and you're like, oh no! Captain Kelvin's dead. Although there's a scene before that where they're opening a safety hatch and on the side you can actually see the word Kelvin, which I thought was quite cool. Because of course J.J. Abrams also directed that movie. Anywho, Star Trek nerdiness, it gets everywhere. So she kills Moses, and then she's like, I must kill Schmidt. So Schmidt's just like, oh no. So finally, our main heroine wakes up, and she's like, I must save the day. So she runs and stops the woman from killing Schmidt. Well, not really, because he gets shot quite badly. It's pretty useless. She runs in there and she's like, stop! And Doctor Who was like, but if I kill you too, that's it. I can then keep this amazing energy weapon thingy and save our world. And you're just like, why don't you just transfer the plans to your own world? Because that's what they do later. So none of this was needed. So our main heroine saves the day by being like, actually no, I'm just going to leave. That's literally what she does. She walks out, okay? She's like, Schmidt's like, go, get to the chopper. She's like, she leaves, okay? So he gets shot, assumed dead at this point, and then Doctor Who starts following the main character and is going to kill her as well until she shoots a TV screen which leads to space. She shoots a TV screen, which the Doctor Who gets sucked backwards and her butt gets stuck in it. No joke. This is real. This is a real film. No, this isn't Austin Powers. I was thinking there wasn't that Austin Powers that happened in as well. So that's a thing that happens, and she gets sucked into space. Schmidt's alive again somehow, and our main character gets to the front of the ship, turns the keys, and boom, they're back in our reality. But all this time, shit's been going down on our planet, including the giant Cloverfield monster from the original film. He's there. He's like, all right. so you have the giant Cloverfield monster poke his head out of the clouds. He's like, hello. Because they come down to Earth. They finally get everything fixed. Everything's working. The energy's giving to Earth. All good. They get in an escape pod and fly towards Earth. And the husband's on the phone to the general, army general. He's like, tell them not to come back to Earth. It's gone to shit. So... and then, I don't know if it was just the angle of the camera shot, but it kind of looks like the escape pod's eaten by the Cloverfield monster. I don't think it is, but we're probably never going to find out, because this movie is going to get a sequel. I bet you that there is already a Cloverfield 4 made. It's going to come out tomorrow, from how rapidly this film was released. Yeah. So that's Cloverfield... The paradox of Cloverfield. It's alright. It's okay. Looking back on it, I can see that it is quite silly in points. They have some great ideas, and I love the idea that they have their spacesuits and they're walking between the two broken parts of the ship. That looked great. That reminded me of Mass Effect. I like that. That was cool. Some of the shots are really nice. Yeah, it's not as good as 10 Cloverfield Lane, I don't think. But it's okay. It's good. I recommend watching it. Even because I explained it terribly, so you're not missing much. You're probably not even spoiled by it. To be honest, there's not really spoilers in this movie. They aren't like twist, shock, horror moments, because you're kind of expecting it. This is a space movie where people die. So if you've seen Event Horizon, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. Anywho, that's me. Thanks for watching. I don't know. This was a fun film. Leave your thoughts down below and tell me. But until next time, that's me. Out. Vegas.